What's up, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Goal Line Dynasty. Today, Tyler and I are going to be doing something kind of fun with the rookie picks right around the corner. The NFL Combine is happening this week, so we have decided to not talk about the rookies specifically, but talk about the rookie draft picks specifically and whether or not we would take some deals when trading away picks 1 through 12. But before we get into the video, Tyler, how we doing, buddy?
I'm good, dude. I'm glad to get at it. It's gonna be a fun exercise, going through seeing really like what we would give up and what we would offer for each pick and figuring out where those tiers are and just how things go and how we expect things to go in this draft. I mean, I know it's tough to light up rookie picks right now to give up on them, but there's some times where like the best deal you're gonna get is gonna be in February, So it is reasonable to give them up sometimes. And I think it's worth talking about.
Yeah, I completely agree. Rookie picks are obviously anywhere between February and May, always at an all-time high in value. You could argue the closer you get to the NFL draft, they go up even more. But right now, so many people with the NFL season being freshly over, so many people have rookie fever. And I would say that this next week or two probably has the same amount of value with those rookie picks as they are going to have around the NFL draft because people are just so excited. So with that being said, Tyler, I will let you handle the odds. I'll take the even. So you have the 101. I want the 101. This is what I'm offering to you. Now, I had a different deal for you, but then you brought up Puka right before we hopped on the video, so I had to put Puka in the deal. Pick 101. Would you give it to me if I gave you Puka Nacua and Matt Stafford? And mind you, this is super flex format. So would you take Stafford, the stack of Stafford and Puka for rookie pick 101?
I would counter with I want a running back in return. What's the best running back you'll give me?
You want a running back on top of Puka and Matt Stafford?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a good one, but like one that will see the field. I just want like one that could be like a placeholder on my bench. It doesn't need to be like a hammer running back. I want either your oldest. I'll take a James Conner. I'll take whoever, like Zamir White, whatever it is.
I would say best I could do would be a guy like Gus Edwards or something like that.
Okay, I would do it.
Well, that was nice and quick for 101. Yeah, no, I
would do it. I would do it 100%. I mean, I'm getting the best of both worlds there. I'm getting a smash. Like if I was debating between Marvin Harrison Jr. and Caleb Williams, I'm getting a smash as a wide receiver, and I'm going to get another year or two to buy myself some time to find another quarterback if that's really what I'm looking for. And I think like getting that stack of Matt Stafford and Puka, I think is one that's not an elite stack in the league because Matt Stafford's not an elite fantasy quarterback anymore, but he's a serviceable QB 12 to 15 on a good year, on a healthy year. So I'll take it for however long Matt Stafford's career lasts. I think he's 36 right now. So, I mean, we're seeing guys like Aaron Rodgers coming back from Achilles tear at 40, 41 years old. So I'll take that deal and you just kick the can down the road and take those points. I mean, I'm getting, probably close to 40 points a game there, 35 points a game out of those two. And then I'm getting wherever, I mean, I know Gus Edwards is a free agent, but I mean, he's 28 years old. He's shown that he can be serviceable at the goal line and in short yardage situations and things like that and carry a half decent workload or be an RB2 in a backfield. So I'll take your offer and appreciate it.
Yeah, and this seems like one of those offers where it's kind of a win-win for both sides, right? I think if I'm trading for 101, now if I'm trading away Puka Nacua, chances are I want to go after Caleb Williams with the 101. Because I know you and I were talking earlier, we were going back and forth on the whole Marvin Harrison Jr. versus Puka Nacua kind of thing. But I would say they're so close, it doesn't make sense to add things on top of Puka if you're just going after Marvin Harrison, right? So in my mind, trading away Puka plus this is me saying, okay, I need to hit a reset button on my dynasty team. I need to draft Caleb Williams, and that's likely what I'd be going for in this situation. So I think depending on how our team makeups are, it's probably a win-win for both sides, right? You get your win now pieces plus a very young wide receiver in Puka. I'm going to get my quarterback of the future and so on. Now, before you ask me for 102, I want to tell you the original offer that I was going to give you for 101. We don't need to talk about it in too much detail, but I think it would tempt you a little bit. So 101 for Dak Prescott and Jonathan Taylor.
I don't want to do that. Although, I mean, I don't want to do that yet. No. I want a younger piece back in the deal. I don't want a running back that is on his second contract and, Dak Prescott's 30 something years old. 31, I don't even know. But I don't want, no, I want a younger piece back in the deal.
That's fair. And I the only counter that I was going to offer on top of that was like a mid-range, young tight end too, a guy like, Isaiah Likely or Luke Musgrave or something like that. That's probably the best I would have gone on top of that. We don't need to discuss that one in too much detail, honestly. I just wanted to bring that up because I thought that one would be at least a little tempting there, you know?
It is tempting. I mean, like, if you're a competing roster, then yeah, you saw Jonathan Taylor kind of blow up at the second half of the season last year, show us that he can be what he used to be in that RB1 season that he had, where he put up almost 400 points. It was 350 or something like that. God, that's tough. I mean, Dak. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna counter. Give me. You can't give me. I don't want a tight end back. I don't want a tight end back. Give me Terry McLaurin on top of it, and I will
No.
give you a second round pick. I'll give you a second.
Well,
I'll give you a second.
if you're tossing a second round pick back, as long as it's like a top 5 second round pick, if I'm talking at the very latest a mid second round pick in Superflex leagues, I would probably make that deal, especially if I'm desperate enough to where I'm trading away, a top 5, top 6 dynasty running back. I'm trading away Dak Prescott, who we both know, not necessarily a young quarterback by any stretch, but a very good dynasty quarterback. So yeah, I think we could find a middle ground there. If you really wanted Terry McLaurin on top and you can toss back an early to mid second round pick, I think we'd have a deal there.
All right, good one. So you tugged on my heartstrings with Puka because of the conversation we had earlier. I am going to tug on your heartstrings. I'm going to ask you, will you take Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk for the 102?
Honestly, I probably would. And here's my thought process behind that. 101 in most Superflex leagues, you're probably locked and loaded at Caleb Williams. And if you do have 101 and you're not planning on taking Caleb Williams, you should trade back to pick 2 because I guarantee you the guy sitting at 2 would love to have Caleb Williams. I think you can kind of do yourself a favor there. So I'm gonna operate under the assumption that pick 2 is Marvin Harrison Jr. Maybe if you want to get cute, you could take Jaden Daniels or Drake May if you really have a need for it. But if I'm exploring the option of trading pick 2 for Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk, chances are I'm well in a contending window at the moment. Christian McCaffrey is obviously one of the best non-quarterback pieces that you can own for the short term, so that'll make me happy. Brandon Ayuk's coming off of a 1,300-yard season, and he's 25 years old. We have yet to see the best of Brandon Ayuk. He could go to a new offense this offseason. I don't really think it matters where he ends up. He's still going to be really good. So, yeah, I don't think – I mean, I would probably play some hardball and send you a slight counter and try to get some extra value out of it. But in a vacuum, yeah, I think I would take C-Mac and Brandon Ayuk for 102.
I think it makes sense if you're honestly, if you're in a position where you think the guy at 101 is going to take Marvin Harrison and you're at 102, and you don't love Malik Neighbors. I mean, I love Malik Neighbors. But if you don't love Malik Neighbors or even any of the quarterbacks, if you have no need for it, then I would be probably fine taking Brandon Ayuk, and I would rather get a wide receiver equivalent of Christian McCaffrey. I mean, you know how I feel about that. Give me Chris Olave and Brandon Ayuk, and you can have the 102 off of me, because there is somebody who, I mean, in reality, in a month or two, when people start realizing that they really need a quarterback and that these guys are going to go all top 5, they might really, they might push Marvin Harrison out of 103 in some drafts. That is going to happen in your leagues somewhere, some way. That's what I'm saying. Just be patient, with these things. You don't, I'm hesitant when it comes to trading up unless I feel as if there's a massive gap between the tiers and the pick would be a no-brainer for the person ahead of me. So yeah, that's just how I feel about the situation.
Yeah, and I like that you point that out because there's most definitely a world now. This shouldn't exist, but it's going to exist in some leagues. There are going to be some leagues where Marvin Harrison goes potentially as late as 104, right? If Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels in any particular order goes 1 through 3 in real life in the NFL draft, there's going to be a lot of arguments in Superflex leagues to go ahead and take those quarterbacks ahead of Marvin Harrison. Right now, I personally, the latest I'm going to go on Marvin Harrison is 102. I would not be able to justify either of those other two guys because we're already operating under the assumption that all of these quarterbacks, all three of them are at least going to go top 5, right? And I still want Marvin Harrison over that. So I'm going to kind of set myself up that way. But to your point, there are leagues out there where 103 or even 104 could potentially be Marvin Harrison, and that's going to pay some big dividends to someone who's really lucky.
Here's the thing about that, though, is even if you're sitting at the 103, and even so, both Caleb and Marvin Harrison go, right? There is going to be people in your leagues who say, wow, I need to transfer some of my wide receiver weight into the quarterback room. This is getting really sketchy, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to compete in a year or two. So let me send you, and they're going to have to send you someone like an Amon-Ra St. Brown, a Puka Nacua, a whoever, like a CeeDee Lamb, to get that 103 pick off of you, because that's what it's valued at right now. And if you're getting a quarterback that's being drafted top 5 with NFL draft capital, so that's really, I think, what it's going to take to get it off their hands. And I think the reality is in these deals, you have to get back the type of asset that you would have been targeting. So if it comes to like when you traded away the 101 before, when I traded away the 101, oh my God, the 101 before, stumbled over that one. I had to get someone like Matt Stafford in return. And I think you knew that. Like, if I'm trading away Caleb Williams, I have to get a Matt Stafford or a Russell Wilson or a Derek Carr or something that's going to band-aid that position for me, at least for a year or two. So
yeah,
that's what I like.
It's hard to justify selling a top 3, top 4 pick in Superflex without getting a quarterback back. But I do have an offer for you at 103 that does not include a quarterback. So straight up 103 for Nico Collins and Javonte Williams.
No, hard no. I don't want either of those assets to be what the deal is revolved around.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't think this is enough for 103. I have Keep Trade Cut open on the side here, right, just to double check my valuations before I spit them out here. This one says the Nico and Javonte side. I mean, it's suggesting a fair trade, but the Nico and Javonte side, it's almost a full 1,000 points ahead, which I don't necessarily agree with. So let me do this instead. I'm going to give you, for pick 103, I'm going to give you Nico Collins, and I'm going to give you pick 107.
It's enticing, but I still think you have to go higher up on the wide receiver pool for me to want to take this deal. Give me a better quality wide receiver. I don't really, if I'm trading away the 103, I'm thinking like AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, give me something like that, and you're going to have to put something else, because we're talking about a quarterback here. There's quarterbacks on the board.
Yeah, I don't know if I would be able to go up any higher than that, to be honest with you. I mean, Nico Collins, probably a mid-range wide receiver too for a lot of people at the moment, right? There's some upside there for sure, but I have yet to see him in anyone's top 12 dynasty wide receivers, probably rightfully so, right? All right, this is the final offer. I'm going to give you the 107 still, and instead of Nico Collins, I'm going to upgrade it to Michael Pittman. And that's my final offer for pick 103.
Yep, you got it.
I feel it. Yeah, I mean, you and I are both pretty high on Michael Pittman. I mean, I don't know about you, but I have him. Granted, this was before the rookies, so bumps him down a little bit because I'm pretty high on Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors. Michael Pittman at some point this offseason was my wide receiver 12 for Dynasty. And I don't think he's probably much farther than that at the moment. He's probably maybe 15 at the farthest right now. So I do think that's pretty rich. And then 107, you could double down on wide receiver. That should be Romo Dunze, could be Brock Bowers, could even be, JJ McCarthy or Bo Nix when one of those guys sneaks into the first round. So probably some good value on both sides here.
I'll tell you exactly what I'm immediately trying to do is flip the 107 plus a running back like Javonte for the 105. Get me back into that elite quarterback range, where I'll add a second on top. I don't care. That 105 is a big break in most people's opinion. Those are the guys who have name value right now before the draft. Those are the guys that everybody wants. It's the top 5, maybe the top 6 if you're including Bowers. So I would give a decent running back. I would give the 107 and Kenny Walker for the 105. Give me that elite pick. I know it's not, great process, I guess. But I mean, especially when it comes to running backs, like all the time, I'll do that. But I would also package, like in terms of receivers, I might give you. I mean, I would probably give. I don't want to say Rashee Rice, but maybe a little bit lower than that. Like, I don't know. I can't think of a receiver off the top of my head, but I'm willing to put guys on top to get into that top 5, even if I'm at 7. I like where I'm at.
Yeah, and that's fair. I would say I would be surprised if pick 5 ends up being a quarterback. I don't think Neighbors and Marvin Harrison are going to be going in the top 4 in a majority of Superflex leagues there, just because there is, an inherent need for quarterbacks for a lot of people. But stranger things have happened. I mean, I'm not going to be surprised to see Neighbors go in the top 4. There's going to be some leagues, right? If Odunze gets drafted before Neighbors in real life, which according to a lot of the latest mock drafts, he could go before Malik Neighbors. So who knows? Who
Well,
knows, right? Like,
well, my point is like right there. Like I don't care who it is in terms of that value, but if there is whoever the second receiver is that's going to be drafted top 10, like I would trade up from the 107 to get into that tier. Or if a quarterback's going to come to me, like whoever it is, I believe it's going to be Malik Neighbors. The word on the street is it's going to be Malik Neighbors. I think he's awesome. I would be trading guys straight up. Like I told you, like Jalen Waddle, like easily give me Malik Neighbors right now. I'll hit the reset button. And see what that turns into, especially with some of the landing spots that are like kind of available to him. I love, obviously the Chargers is the best for anybody, but I mean that's what we're looking at.
Yeah. Well, we're still talking about top 5 picks here. So I have pick number 4 overall. What are you going to offer to me to grab that pick for me?
All right. Pick number 4. I am going to give you a good receiver. I'm going to give you DJ Moore. Pulling your heartstrings again. I'm going to give you DJ Moore, and I'm going to give you the 109. DJ Moore and the 109 for the 104.
I think I would snap accept that. I do. I mean, I'm probably higher than most on DJ Moore. I was still high on DJ Moore when he got moved to Chicago, when a lot of people were like kind of thinking that was a lateral move for his fantasy production. I mean, coming off of 1,300 yards, what do you get, like 7 or 8 touchdowns? I don't have the stats necessarily in front of me, but all signs point to Caleb Williams coming to Chicago. Now, I do think there is a chance that I think they have pick 1 and pick 9, if I remember correctly. I think there's a chance that they could get a receiver at 9. I do think that if Rome Odunze is there, they'll take him to be their wide receiver too. I do think there's a potential trade back for Chicago to move back from that second pick that they have, and then maybe go down to that wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 range. I don't know if it's Keon Coleman or Brian Thomas or whoever. But I can see a world where Chicago adds another receiver. But that doesn't bother me. I think DJ Moore is a true alpha in this league. He is, for his size, his agility, his yak ability is just unreal. And you said you're going to give me DJ Moore. Was it the 109? Is that correct?
Yeah, the 109. I'll give you the 109. In real life, I'm probably going to ask you off the bat. I'll ask you for a second back, but for the purposes of this trade, I'll just give you straight up. I'll accept it straight up.
Yeah, I would do it. And my pick 109, probably what I'm looking at that point is, do I need a quarterback? Maybe. I can probably get J.J. McCarthy or Bo Nix, whichever one of them snuck into the first round in real life, right? I would imagine those guys or one of those guys, right, would probably be there at 109. If not, chances are I'm getting the RB1, I'm getting the wide receiver 4, any of this. So yeah, I think that's a fair offer, and I will accept it.
The word on the street right now is that JJ McCarthy is like a lock for it to be top 10. Like he's going to be drafted in the NFL top 10 to someone who wants him and believes in him. And that's the beautiful thing about these rookie picks is that if you're sitting at the 106, all of a sudden someone loves JJ McCarthy. They're going to send you what they believe a quarterback's worth for that 106, and that's what you're going to be able to squeeze them for.
Yeah, and it sure seems like it. Like I would be very surprised at this point with the Vikings. Vikings are in the top 15, the Broncos are in the top 15, and the Raiders are in the top 15, I believe, right? One of them is going to pull the trigger on the 4th quarterback. I think it's a lock to have 4 quarterbacks there. But pick 105. So this is where, you and I kind of agree. there's at least somewhat of a tier break here, right? Because you and I don't want to speak for you, but it sounds like you and I are on the same page where we both think Odunze does not belong in the same tier as Neighbors and Marvin Harrison. Chances are this pick 5, it's one of the 3 quarterbacks or it's one of the 2 big wide receivers there, right? So this is my offer to you for 105. I'm going to give you Christian Watson and Dalton Kincaid.
No. No. Give me. I want the hammer
Says not
receiver.
even close.
Don't give me your tight end. I don't need your tight end. I have George Kittle on my roster. I have Jake Ferguson on my roster. I don't want your Dalton Kincaid right now. If I have the 104 or 10, what am I at? 106. I'm sorry, just fighting for it. 105. Oh my god. Holy shit. 105. I am not. I don't want that around the tight end. No, I want it around a receiver at least.
All right. Here's what I'll do for you then. I'm going to give you Deebo Samuel and Kirk Cousins.
No, and it's got to be a younger receiver. It's got to be way higher than that. Like I'm looking like I'm thinking like Waddle plus, like Waddle range plus. Maybe can I give you James Cook and the 105 for Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Well, it depends. Now, if I'm trading up, if in my mind, if I'm trading up to 105, this is not a lock for a quarterback. So if I'm trading up for 105, and I know this is a lot of hypotheticals, right? But it's the end of February. 105 to me is not one of the 3 quarterbacks because I fully believe that they're going to go all top 4 in most super flex leagues. So if I'm purposely trading for pick 5 here, I have my sights set on Malik Neighbors. I think Malik Neighbors is going to slot in immediately for me as a top 12 dynasty wide receiver. Amon-Ra is number 4 in my rankings currently, and that's including the rookies. So obviously very high on Amon-Ra. I don't know if I would be able to pull the trigger on this one. I think that maybe if this is like a draft day deal where a quarterback is sitting there at 105, I think if I could guarantee that this is the quarterback I need, I would accept this deal. But this part in the offseason, I can't guarantee that it is going to be a quarterback. I think Amon-Ra for 105, even adding James Cook, I think it's a little too rich for my.
Well, if I upped the ante a little bit at running back and I went Kenny Walker.
See, it's weird. This probably isn't popular. I actually have James Cook ranked a little higher than Kenny Walker. They're in the same tier for me, though, right? So I think the lateral move there, it's not going to do much for me. I'll counter back to you 105. And you know what? Here, this will be an interesting one. Straight up 105 for AJ Brown.
Nah.
Don't need to include any running backs or nothing.
No, I'd rather put in a running back and get a receiver that I actually like and has an extra 3 years on his shelf life. Other than that, I'm gonna hold and I'll take that. So I'll counter this because you have a monster receiver room per se, right? So I will give you.
Sounds like it. If I got Amon-Ra,
wait till you hear the third one, right? So you also have Garrett Wilson.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I'm gonna give you the 105 for Garrett.
All right, this is the best I can do. On the odd chance, I'm happy to pivot from Garrett Wilson to Malik Neighbors. I am. I think that they both different play styles for sure, but they both have a very similar fantasy ceiling. I would say Neighbors maybe a bit higher just because he could be the prototypical alpha wide receiver, I guess you could say, right? But in terms of fantasy production, probably similar. But 105 could end up being that quarterback that I need, right? So I can't give you a first round pick on top of Garrett Wilson, but I can give you the 202. And that's the final offer. And then we'll move on to 106. Garrett Wilson and 202 for pick 105.
You got it. I'll take it.
We did it. I think even that, honestly, like if obviously, you and I are in a few leagues together. When we talk trades, they take a hell of a lot longer than what we can fit into a 45 to an hour long video, right? Like you and I will go back and forth. And more often than not, we don't get a deal done because we're both stubborn as all hell. I think that I think that on paper you win this trade, though. I think that in a vacuum, not knowing context, not knowing exactly who 105 is going to be as of this moment in time, I think Garrett Wilson in 202 is a smash pick for this one. But I would still do that deal so I can get 105.
And I think that I'm gonna be able to, like, especially if I'm gonna be able to move that second round, like it's an early second, like I'm gonna be able to say like, oh, it's an imaginary line, it's the same tier. In reality, it is the same tier if I wanted to draft at the 111 or the 202, But I think what I'm gonna be able to do with that pick, if I wanted to send maybe a James Conner and the 202 for, I don't know, maybe someone's down on Jonathan Taylor, maybe they're willing to take a cut on that. Maybe I could use the 202 and the 110 to move up to the 108, and now somebody will take Jonathan Taylor for that. So I think I like getting that piece back in the deal, and then still taking the shot on whatever Garrett Wilson can be. I know a lot of people are very high on him. I still have question marks. I want to see him produce. I really want to see him be a great wide receiver. So at least in fantasy, But that was a fun one. So now you have the 106. You have the 106. We have a teardrop here, and the guy who most people are believing is the 106 is probably Brock Bowers. So let's talk tight ends.
Now you want to talk tight ends.
Yeah, let's talk tight ends. I'm not gonna make the tight end the piece in the deal, like the big piece in the deal, but I'm gonna give you a Band-Aid, right? I'm gonna give you a Band-Aid. I'm gonna give you Dalton Schultz and the 112.
I don't think I would do that deal. I think
that's very low. That's very low, actually. I'll give you Dalton Schultz on the 108.
So okay, so it's a difference of 2 picks. Now going down to 108, you're almost guaranteed to miss out on 3 quarterbacks, the 3 receivers, and Brock Bowers. But as we all know, quarterback could get pushed up for someone. And in my opinion, the 108 is severely underrated in Superflex leagues. And the reason being is because I think there is a clear tier break at pick 7. But how many leagues are you in where nobody reaches on someone in the first round, right? Like on paper, we know what the top 7 picks are going to be, but chances are in like every other league, someone in that top 7 is getting pushed down to 108 because of something weird that happened in the NFL draft. So yes, I will take this deal to move down 2 spots, reluctantly doing it because I think Brock Bowers is going to be really good. I think Rome Odunze could be really good, but there is a world where 108 does still equate to Rome Odunze or even Brock Bowers, and I have Dalton Schultz to boot. I mean, Dalton Schultz, not a world breaker, doesn't really matter to me, to be honest here. But like you said, it is a Band-Aid. And he was a tight end 1 last year. And if he does re-sign in Houston, which I hope he does, that's going to be a really solid, top 8, top 10 weekly tight end for me to use. So I think that it's, like as I'm talking about it out loud, I don't know if Dalton Schultz is enough to get me to do the gamble, actually. Because
all right, so let's change it up. Let's do. I will send you Dalton Schultz, and I will send you Deebo Samuel, and I'll send you the 205 for the 106.
No. Now we're getting farther away. I would say this: if you're going to give me a Band-Aid in Dalton Schultz, let's make it a better Band-Aid. Let's give me George Kittle. Give me George Kittle, and the 108 and 106 is yours.
I don't want to do the 108. I'll give you because this is also, we're assuming a 0.5 tight end premium league. I will give you the one. I will. I'll give you George Kittle on the 108 for the 106. If I can shop around and try to go buy a cheaper tight end, like if I can go buy David Njoku for 2 seconds or something like that, then I can use that 106 for something else right now or on the clock. So I'll do that.
Yeah, and I think that's enough of a Band-Aid. Now, granted, it's not like George Kittle is young. He's going to be 31 next season, right? Which I guess is not the end of the world since Travis Kelce's still doing it at 34. But I think that's the level of Band-Aid that I would need to trade down from 2 spots. And if I get really lucky on draft day and one of those top 7 falls to pick 108, I'm going to feel like a genius. If not, I'll take the QB4. I'll take the wide receiver 4. I'll take the RB1, right? There's there's no consensus RB1 right now, but one running back is going to go day 2 to a very favorable landing spot, I'm sure. So yeah, I think that's a good deal for both sides there.
And I think the good thing is like when you're at getting to the 106 for me, I really like, because if like we kind of talked about before, if a guy sneaks up and somebody wants like JJ McCarthy, or if somebody screws up at the top range of the draft, and they take someone who, if they reach like really bad, you never know what your idiot league mates might do. All of a sudden someone gets pushed down the board to you, and you're looking at Jaden Daniels at the 106, or Drake May at the 106, Malik Neighbors at the 106. You have no idea. I don't think it's going to happen in most leagues. I think, most guys who just watch a YouTube video about a Dynasty rookie draft before going into it will figure out who the top 5 is. But there are guys who are going to take their shots, who just say, "Oh, I liked him in college. I liked watching him in college. I think he's a stud." I mean, I watched a guy take Devon A-Chain at the 106, 107 last year. And, it ended up kind of, working out for him, when you're looking at the guys who are on the board, I mean, I don't think I would definitely heavily consider Devon A-Chain over Jordan Addison and, things like that, the guys who are on the board and you were looking at right now. So, yeah, I think I like getting into this range, and especially early right now in, late February, going into March, right when people are going to start really opening up their sleeper apps again and start, trying to look into who these rookies are, because that's going to be how they're looking to improve their teams right now.
All right, so I got a good one for you for your pick 107 here. I'm going to offer you now, under the assumption, right? I know we keep saying we assume this, we assume that, but let's say this is very likely Rome Odunze as of this moment in time in the offseason. So my offer to you is I'm going to give you a receiver who just had a top 5 single game performance wide receiver of all time. I'm going to give you Amari Cooper, and I'm going to give you Tyjae Spears for pick 107.
No, I want to go younger. I want to go younger, or at least more reliable. Don't give me the 30-year-old. Stop offering me that. That's what I'm going to offer you, because that's what you like. But that's not what I want. You know that. You better. I don't like Tyjae Spears either. I don't like Tyjae Spears.
I know you don't like Tyjae Spears, but for whatever reason, he is a top 14 running back in the consensus right now, which, considering the guy, someone can fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure he's like literally missing an ACL. Like, it's just not there. His leg is obliterated.
It's true. But I mean, he is talented. I liked him coming out of college. I was a Tyjae Spears fan. Don't get me wrong. I like Tyjae Spears at RB35 prices. I don't like an RB14, 13. I'm not paying that price for him right now. People are saying like, "Oh, I'll give you the 110 for Tyjae Spears." No shot. I'm not doing that. Absolutely.
All right, I have one for you. It's a 1-for-1 flip. You give me 107, I give you Drake London.
Deal.
I had a feeling that one would get you.
Yep, he's what I want Rome Odunze, Brian Thomas, Keon Coleman, whoever to be. Again, I do think this range could have like JJ McCarthy guys, but I think, like I mentioned before, I think Drake London is like in for a big season this year. I think things are going to work out for him. I hope so too. I'm heavily freaking invested in Drake London, so I like what Drake London has shown us that he can do. I'm hoping that, I pray to God they land a Kirk Cousins or, a Justin Fields or somebody who's just better, and this offense sees more production, more touchdowns, more offensive efficiency, because last year was terrible. They have so many weapons, and it's such a stab in the back to fantasy football that like Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson are middling assets, or middling producers rather, but I'm going to take my shot on him because I know that he is a really good NFL receiver, and at some point the stars are going to align for him and things are going to work out, and he's going to be a top 20 guy. So I like that better than my shots here at the 107.
Well, and I'll tell you why I make this deal. So Drake London, believe it or not, he's like just about a year exactly older than Rome Odunze. That's it. And Drake London's already been in the league for 2 years, right? So that's an obvious uptick for Drake London. The Atlanta offense should obviously trend in a more positive direction for their playmakers, so that's going to be an obvious uptick for Drake London. In my mind, Drake London to Rome Odunze is probably a wash. I know that you say that, you want Rome Odunze to beat Drake London. Drake London has shown flashes, but let's face it, he has not offered consistent fantasy output. I mean, he has a very high ceiling, but his floor is the basement. There's weeks where he gets you 3 or 4 points just because that's how bad Atlanta's been. It's not really a slight on Drake London; it's more a slight, on Atlanta. But if I can restart the clock, even if only by a year, I'll take that. I think Romo Dunze is going to be at the very worst like a top 12 draft pick in real life. I'll take that as well. And kind of going off of what I was saying to 108, what we've been saying a lot in this video, someone could fall. Someone could fall, and I will take any of those top 6 guys that we've talked about over Drake London. And I think 107 at the very least is going to be a lateral move into Romo Dunze. So, if you want your guaranteed wide receiver in Drake London, I'm fine rolling the dice. I think it's a good one for one swap.
I mean, the thing is, though, is that like you said, Drake London's only a year older than these guys, and he's already 2 years through his rookie contract, so his situation could change, and Atlanta's situation is changing this offseason, for better or for worse. We don't know yet, but it's going to be exciting to see, and I hope, at least. I'm going to be really excited going into this season, and I think there's going to be a lot of hype around them. So I think it's going to be, good to own, the Atlanta assets right now because they are relatively cheap to buy, and I think people are going to build hype on them come season time. It's going to be scary to finally put them into our lineups, but I'm going to have faith and just trust the flashes that we've seen. So here we're looking at the 108. I'm going to offer you DK Metcalf and a 3rd round pick.
For the 108, 108, again, tricky because this could be the one that things really get shaken up. I'm a big believer in DK Metcalf, but we kind of know what we're getting with DK Metcalf. He could be a dynasty wide receiver 1, but I mean, Seattle has new coaching. Seattle has defensive head coaching. We don't know if they're moving on from Tyler Lockett. JSN is only going to continue to grow in that offense. Geno Smith is not particularly amazing. Like, for a fantasy option, Geno Smith himself is serviceable, but I don't love what he does for the weapons around him. So I don't now knowing that 108, let's say 108 to me is probably, I'm looking at like JJ McCarthy, I'm looking at Brian Thomas, I'm looking at maybe Keon Coleman or Troy Franklin. I guess it really depends there, or the RB1. I don't know. There's a lot of options that I'm going to have here at 108, and I don't think DK Metcalf, and you said like a 2nd round pick or something like that. I don't.
A 3rd.
Yeah, even with a 2nd, I don't think it would be enough for me. I don't necessarily know what I'm looking for at this 108, but I'll give you a counter. I'm going to ask for. I'll take DK Metcalf, but I want something a lot better than that pick you're offering me. I want a running back like Rashad White and DK Metcalf for this 108.
You can have DK Metcalf and Derrick Henry.
No, that's a hard no for me. I mean, Derrick Henry. It's not that he was awful in 2023, but he's not really Derrick Henry anymore. He's so volatile.
I'll give you a guy that I like. I'll give you a guy that I like to get the deal done. Give you DK Metcalf and James Conner, but you have to give me a 3rd round pick.
No, I think there's just I think 108 is so undervalued at the moment because it's not like outside of the top 7 guys there's bad options. There's still a lot of value to be had. If you can change DK Metcalf, I don't want to throw anything back. I don't want to throw anything back if we're still centering it around DK Metcalf. Shoot, man. Shoot. I don't know.
Make it a receiver in the same range that you like. Let's say, okay, because I think a lot of people, in terms of name value, I personally don't. I love DJ Moore a lot, or like Debo's. Yeah, let's go DJ Moore. We'll talk DJ Moore, but it's going to be straight up. I'm not going to give you.
Yeah, straight up. I know we included DJ Moore in an earlier offer, but I think we added something onto him. Straight up, I would take DJ Moore over 108 in nearly any situation that I'm in. So yeah, that'll get it done if you give me DJ Moore.
I think that's the best receiver that I'll give you, and I would be hesitant about it, but this would be a move where it's like let's say I'm one of those rosters where it's like Keenan Allen, Michael Evans, Mike
Michael
Evans. Oh my god, yeah, Mike Evans, whatever, like all those guys. If that's what my roster is filled with, I'm going to take if someone's interested in a guy like DJ Moore, like I'm not going to ignore them. And if the 108's knocking on the door and I have the chance to hit a reset button on one of those guys, I know DJ Moore is still pretty young. His situation is getting better, hopefully at least with Caleb Williams. And it would be tough for me to let him go for this, but if I got in the right situation, this is the max price that I would pay, and I think that's the point of what the exercise is. Like that's the tier of guy that I would pay.
Yeah, and this is where once you're outside of the top 7 picks, it becomes a bit more interesting in trade negotiations because there's a lot more open-ended possibilities. These are the picks that are going to be directly affected by what happens in the real NFL draft. Obviously, we're all talking Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Neighbors, Odunze, guys like that. If for some reason any of those guys fall out of the top 15 picks, then yeah, it's going to shake early drafts up a lot. But as of this moment, as long as those guys are all top 15, top 16 picks, give or take, they're all going, right? Where we think they are in the top 7 there. So pick 8 is where things start to shake up. Now, pick 109, my offer to you is I'm going to give you, let's say maybe you need a QB2. Maybe you've got a good team. Yeah, okay. I'm going to give you Geno Smith and pick 203 for 109. So you're moving back 6 spots and you're getting a QB2.
No, I don't really have a need to do that. Can it be? I don't know. Can I have a guy like? This isn't how I want to patch my whole quarterback. Like I don't want to do this for what's going to be the quarterback 3 on my roster. Can you make it something that's going to, like that? I'm going to at least be able to slot in on some bye weeks. Can I get Nick Chubb in the 202? I'll send you the 301.
Yeah, I would do that. And maybe, I don't know if Nick Chubb. Yeah, that's fine. I would do that. I mean, Nick Chubb, if he comes back how we hope he can come back, then yeah, that's going to be a pretty good deal on your end. I have a hard time believing that Nick Chubb is going to be unaffected by what looked like it was going to be a career-ending injury, right? Like it was pretty gruesome. But he'll be back. He'll be back. We don't know if it's going to be with Cleveland. There's rumors that they could release him. I think if they release him before June or whatever the deadline is, they'll save some money there.
Can I get a guy? Can I get a guy maybe that's a little bit more like short? Let's say that's another deal because a lot of people aren't going to like Nick Chubb, so that deal's not going to help them much. What if we talked like David Montgomery or like maybe like Josh Jacobs type thing?
Yeah, I think
how high would you be on that?
I think David Montgomery is a fair ask. So you're saying you would prefer David Montgomery over the spot start of Geno Smith?
Yeah, definitely. I would rather have a guy like that I feel good. Like if I don't have an elite running back room, especially like, and I can just patch David Montgomery in and take it whenever he gets to those goal line touchdowns and take the 15 points. Like I'm,
I mean, David Montgomery's
and especially where your like roster is at. Really, I think everybody can use an RB2, and especially like in a weak class like this where the elite receivers are probably gone by now. I'll probably move back for David Montgomery. I'll move back the 5 slots.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll give you 203, and I'll give you David Montgomery to get 109. There's a lot of value to be had on both sides there, and I think personally, now 108 I kind of put in its own tier because someone from the top tier could potentially fall into it, but I think like 109 through like 204, 205 is probably like obviously you always want the top of a tier, you always want your choice in the tier, right? But that's probably going to be just one kind of big tier, right? So I think it's not a bad idea to tier back 6 spots and get yourself an RB2 out of it. So I think we landed a good one there.
And honestly, like the purpose of the video, I feel like right now isn't to because people aren't on the clock usually pretty much right now. Like not a lot of people have done their rookie drafts yet. Like we're trading for picks that haven't happened yet. So you are trading for an asset that you can trade again. You're not trading to make a pick yet.
Yeah.
So like there are people like you don't know if this guy just didn't shop the 109 around the league. Like if somebody else is willing to give you Brandon Ayuk or a Rashee Rice or Jordan Addison or something like that for the 109. You don't know what these people, I don't think they should, but like you don't know what people are willing to like slightly overpay once they see, oh my God, I need Brian Thomas Jr. on my roster. I need Keon Coleman, whoever it is, like on my roster. And like I like buying into that right now when we have a very good idea of what the class is going to look like, and there are some people who don't. If we think we can buy it, if we think what we're getting right now is a decent price, then the reality is that it's probably a great price, a month or two ahead of these drafts.
Yet I like that call out. Just because you're trading for a pick right now doesn't guarantee you're making that pick come May. You have 3 months. You have, fantasy fever, right? You're going to get bored at some point in the next 3 months. You're probably going to shop that pick, or you're going to shop the player that you got as a result of trading that pick. So I really like that call out there because it's all about, at this point in the off season, it's all about just accumulating the most value. So if you think a trade is going to positively impact the total value of what you have on your roster, you should go for it.
And I just want to add to that, like this happens like when someone sees a trade go through and they're like, man, I would have paid more for that. Like this happens all the time. It happened to me the other day. All of a sudden I saw a guy get fleeced in our league, and he gave up. I was trying to buy the 108 from him for like, I think it was Debo and like, I don't know, a late second round pick or something like that, something along those lines. I was trying to, get back into, I have a very young team, and I was trying to get, back into that grouping of players. And he went and sent it for garbage. So I went right to the guy, and I said, then he knew he got it for garbage. So I went right to the guy and I said, hey, like, do you want to flip all of that garbage into Debo Samuel instead of that pick? And he was like, yeah, sure. So like the deal, like it worked out for, everybody. It was a 3-way trade basically.
Yeah.
But, the guy just didn't want me to be a part of it, and I ended up being a part of it. So, that happens in, I've done it before too. Like I've seen all of a sudden that somebody like whatever, like it happens all the time.
Yeah. All right. Let's
So
hear what you got for 110 here.
110. All right, we're talking some question marks now. We're
Big
talking
question
like
marks now.
mid-range receivers. So I'm gonna give you,
and I'll say this. 110. I'm assuming if a fourth quarterback has gone in the NFL draft, and we think one will, probably not there at 110. So 110, you're officially in that RB1 territory. Maybe Brian Thomas is still there. Chances are Keon Coleman's still there. Troy Franklin. A lot of people are getting high on Lad McConkey these days, right? So that's probably the tier of player that we're looking for here at 110.
all right. So I'm gonna offer you. Here's gonna be your chance to get off of Tajay Spears. I'm gonna give you Jaden Reed and a second round pick. I'm gonna give you the 208. And you're going to give me the 110 and Tajay Spears.
So 110 and Tajay Spears for Jaden Reed and 208?
Yeah.
No, I here's the thing. I am like you. I'm not a big fan of Tajay Spears, but with how he's valued right now, I can check this really quick too. I personally would take Jaden Reed over Tajay Spears. Not enough so to where I'm trading down 10 spots like that. But I'm wondering if Reed actually has at least similar value to Tajay Spears. So let's see. According to the consensus here,
I see like Tajay Spears. I could look right now on Fantasy Calculator.
Jaden Reed has a bit more points than they're in the same tier by the looks of it on the consensus and keep trade cut. But Jaden Reed does have more trade value than Tajay Spears at the moment, and I would agree with that. I think that Tajay Spears, there's a lot of speculation. Jaden Reed, we just saw unreal efficiency in the last half of the season. I think people are kind of gunning off of that, so that wouldn't get me to budge. I don't think that's a close offer.
And it's funny because I'm looking on Fantasy Calc, and this website is amazing. If you haven't looked at it, people, it's you can just type in a player name, type in the kind of format that you're looking for, and you can see like what these guys are being traded for. So as I'm looking right now, like I see Jaden Reed traded for basically Jalen Warren and Romeo Dubs, so people are just taking like a shot there. I see people packaging Jaden Reed and James Conner for Nico Collins, a guy that a lot of people like. I see Jaden Reed buying Drake London. I see Jaden Reed being shit. I see Jaden Reed and Bryce Young for the 104
Yeah,
right
see,
now. Yeah, oh my god.
Jaden
Like,
Reed to me
Jaden,
is the perfect guy to try and tear up from because a lot of people are high on him at the moment, and I mean rightfully so. He looked really damn good, but when you look at the amount of snaps that he played, combined with like the target share that he had, plus I mean Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks, right? Like there's a lot of guys in this offense. Luke Musgrave as well. I think if you can tear up from Jaden Reed without adding much onto it, I think it's well worth it. But so 110 here. I'll counter back to you because you brought up Jaden Reed. So you said 208 and Jaden Reed for 110 and Tajay Spears. We're gonna have to do a hell of a lot better than Jaden Reed. Um, give me 208 and give me George Pickens.
yes, because I hate George Pickens.
I do too, but it feels like good value. So
Well, no, I'm not going to buy into a receiver that I don't think is as good as Drake London. And Arthur Smith's going there to be the offensive coordinator. I'm not buying into any Pittsburgh anything. No, thank you. So I will take the 110 from you for George Pickens, and
that's fair.
if somebody else is willing to pay something for him, then
that is fair.
So now, all right. So now it's my turn. I just had a spaz attack. I own the 111 now.
Yep.
Right. I own the 111. Yeah. Yep. So make me an offer.
So I have an offer for you. I would like the 111, and I would also like the 205. And I'll give you Tank Dell.
Deal.
Yeah?
Deal. I even as much as I don't wait. We're talking on 111.
I get 111, I get 205, you get Tank Dell.
Yeah, I'll do that. I will do that. I will consolidate the two pieces into one that, he's attached to an elite quarterback. We've seen that he is talented. As small as he is, even if he only plays for 12 games out of the 15, 10 games out of the 15. Like, I'm okay with taking that production for what I get. That's like, what you expect most of your assets to do. So I understand he's small. I understand all that stuff, but he's with a great quarterback who's going to pass the ball a lot. He's not a rushing quarterback, so he is. He's going to see games where he scores 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns sometimes. So he puts up 150 yards, and like it's going to happen. He's going to have a lot of targets. It's going to be a high passing volume. So I'm going to consolidate the two pieces, and I will just add, especially in a start 10, I will just add Tank Dell and slot it in and especially as I think Tank Dell is probably the more flexible asset because people know what Tank Dell is right now. People don't really know what they're trading for at the 110 and the 205 and things like that. So people are hesitant right now. But yeah, I mean, I think it's showing right now in this video right now, we don't really even know what to offer for some of these picks. Like we're having to get creative with these late packages when we're not able to necessarily attach names to these picks.
Here's my thoughts on it. One, for whatever reason, I'm not as high on Tank Dell as a lot of people. I don't know if I can justify that in a way that makes sense, right? Like this time last year, I was super against Christian Watson, and I had a million reasons as to why I was against him. Tank Dell, I really don't have a ton of reasons, right? Obviously, he's a bit on the smaller side. He's pretty damn old for a rookie. Like he's 24 years old, and we were already talking like Drake London is 22 and a half. Right, and he's already played 2 seasons in the NFL. Tank Dell didn't have a bad year by any stretch. He had a really good year. But Nico Collins is there. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring in another receiver. I wouldn't be surprised if they re-sign Dalton Schultz. I mean, they could be, if Brock Bowers falls in the draft even just a little bit, right, Houston could be the one to take him or trade up and take him. I think Houston's also going to go out and probably add to their running game. I just think that there's going to be a lot of moving pieces in the Houston offense, and I think Tank Dell's in a perfect sell spot because at pick 111, I'm getting a first-round wide receiver, right? Chances are, at this point, Keon Coleman and Troy Franklin are both probably still there. If not, at least one of them is still there. They're both slated to go in the first round, even if it is towards the later first round. So I'll re-roll Tank Dell into a first-round wide receiver, and then that pick 205, maybe it's the RB3 of the class, maybe it's the tight end 2, maybe it's a day 2 wide receiver. I don't know. but this just seems like good value to me. So that's why I'm going to be pretty happy with making this deal. But last pick of the video here, Tyler, I have 112. What are you going to give me for 112?
All right, so let's say you are the former champion of the league, right? You have the 112. Let's do
Sounds
two
familiar.
scenarios for this one, right? It's the last pick. Yeah, go. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it PG, but let's say you have the 112. You're just coming off a championship year. We're gonna do two scenarios here because the 112 is kind of a boring asset in most people's eyes. It's the bottom of that line. It's really just an early second round pick to a lot of people. So I'm gonna give you Baker Mayfield, but you're gonna give me 112, and I want a middling receiver.
Hold on. Let me stop you right there. You want 112 plus for Baker Mayfield? I'll stop you right there and say no.
Yeah.
Dude, if you just set the tone. You said I'm the defending champ. Do you think I got there not by having at least a decent QB2? Baker Mayfield's probably a lateral move at my QB2 at that point.
I mean, dude, there are people who won. Let's say if you won the league with Joe Flacco last year, okay? Let's say you won the league because Joe Flacco is your quarterback, and are you taking Baker Mayfield? Are you taking the 112 over Baker Mayfield?
I mean, when you put it that way, that's a good point. But I still don't think, even in that situation, I don't think I would add anything on to the 112. I would consider 112 straight up for Baker Mayfield in that specific scenario, but I would not be able to justify adding a single piece on to the 112 for Baker Mayfield. Especially not knowing if Mike Evans is coming back, right?
So I love Baker Mayfield. All right, so let's base the deal off of Mike Evans. Will you give me Mike Evans and the 209 for the 112? Or will you give me Mike Evans and a 25 second for
or you'll give me Mike Evans and a 25 second for 112 is what we're saying?
Wait, fuck. No, I just made a deal for myself. That's what I wanted. Can I send you fuck, now I have to make the deal around Mike Evans. I don't want to send you Mike Evans. I'll send you Mike Evans and the 209. I'll send you Mike Evans and the 209, the one that I didn't want to take for the 112. That's the max I'll send you. I'll add the 209 to Mike Evans to get the 112.
What's the best receiver that you could offer me in a 1-for-1 for 112? And I want a receiver, let's say 27 or under. What's the best one that you can give me for 112?
Let's pull up KTC rankings just so I have a list in front of me. The best receiver I'm probably willing to send you. Well, I mean, you only charged me like George Pickens for the last one, right? So,
It was George Pickens in a second, I think, but I can't remember already.
Well, I mean, it's a second round pick. I mean, I'll give you Chris Godwin and the 209.
Godwin and the 209 for 112. You know, coming off of a championship win, I think I would consider that, actually. I think I would take that. Godwin, chances are, is going to be, assuming this is like a start 10 or whatever, chances are, even if I'm coming off a championship run, Godwin could be, worst case scenario, my flex 2 on a weekly basis. 209, not that I'm going to bet on myself to absolutely smash out of the park, pick 21 overall, because that's a really hard thing to do. But the running back...
I'm impressed by how quick you did that. I'm impressed by how quick you did that math. I'm impressed by how quick you did the math. 21st overall for the 209. Good job.
I do too much accounting in the day to not know these things. But yeah, I would take this. I would take this deal. I think it's a good deal, especially coming off of, winning. I'm probably going to keep wanting to contend. Godwin gives me that contending piece. Pick 209. It's going to be a dart throw wide receiver. There's a lot of dart throw running backs this year, right? A lot of running backs are slated to go somewhere between round 3 and round 4 this year. And I think one of those guys is probably still going to be around at 209. So give me a nice shot in the dark there. At pick 112, dude, like, I'm not I'm not convinced on anyone that's probably going to be there at 112. Like 112, if you want to reach on one of the quarterbacks that goes maybe day 2, like Bo Nix could go day 2. Michael Penix could go day 2. Some people think Spencer Rattler could sneak in and go day 2. I highly doubt that, to be honest. But I mean, best case scenario, 112, you're reaching on a quarterback like that. Maybe if you're a guy that's high on like Braylon Allen or Blake Corum, Trey Benson, have your pick in the running backs there outside of whoever goes number 1 overall. Yeah. I'll take the deal. I think it's a fair deal.
Yeah, I think it's fair too. If you're a middle of the pack team, would you take that to just get Godwin as a piece that you think is going to put up 10 to 15 points for a week?
I think if you're a middle of the pack team, I think that changes things a little bit. Godwin's not a sexy name. Godwin could be the wide receiver 1 in Tampa next year and for the next couple of years potentially, right? But I do think that if Tampa knows that they're not going to be bringing back Mike Evans, I do think they become in contention for a first-round wide receiver in the NFL draft for sure. At the very least, a day 2 guy, right? So I don't necessarily know if the subtraction of Mike Evans is going to equate to a big increase in workload for Chris Godwin. I think the only way I'm taking this deal is if I know I'm already a top 4 team and Godwin's going to make me just that.
Yeah, so what if it's a name that you think people like a little bit better? Or how about this? Will you take Jameson Williams for the 112?
No. I love Jameson Williams. I love Jameson
What about
Williams.
Christian?
If I said yes to that, people need to run me off of YouTube because I mean, dude, look, I have a lot of high hopes for Jameson Williams. I really do. But to try the earliest pick that I would trade away straight up for Jameson Williams in a super flex league, I'm gonna say there's probably 5 quarterbacks I'm taking over Jameson Williams. There's at least 4 running backs, so that's 9. There is, let's see here, at least 10 wide receivers, so that's 19, and at least 1 tight end. So funny enough, pick 21 overall, 209. That's the earliest pick that I would trade away for Jameson Williams at the moment. So
yeah, I'm looking at it. He's neck and neck with Chris Godwin in terms of KTC value. But what if it was, I'll send you Christian Watson, or I'll send you Christian Kirk. I'll send you either of the Christians. I will send you Amari Cooper.
We'll keep the initial Godwin deal here. I like the Godwin deal. But we got to wrap it up here anyway. I know we've been going for a little bit, and I really want to, at some point in the next few weeks, I know there's a lot of rookie content coming out there, right? Whether you get your content on YouTube, whether you get it through Twitter threads, TikTok, whatever. But, I don't know about you, Tyler, but I have done a lot of research on these rookies over the last month and a half or so. I'm going to continue to do a lot more research. I'm finally starting to form enough of an opinion on each of these guys and kind of learn the nuances of their game enough to actually speak and give, some educated words to these rookies past, oh yeah, I like Malik Neighbors, right? So I definitely want to, at some point in the next few weeks, definitely get going on some actual rookie shows here, and I'm very excited to do that.
Yeah, can't wait to hop in. I mean, you know what it is every time, like this time this year, it's just like, oh yeah, well, if this happens this, if this happens that, but we'll use, we'll pick up, we'll use who somebody's mock we'll use, and we'll link it in the video so that we're going based off landing spots and actual draft capital, that if this does happen, this is what we're going to talk about. We're not the ones who are going to decide because it takes too long.
And I can't wait. It's going to be, well, the NFL draft is 2 months away, believe it or not. It's only 2 months away, which is kind of crazy. It feels like it's so long away, but when you say only 2 months away, actually less than 2 months away at this point, right? So that's pretty crazy. But anyway, I sincerely hope that you did enjoy this video and took some value out of it. There is obviously infinite more trade possibilities for every single one of these picks, but the goal of this video is to just kind of give you an idea on how the valuations of these picks could equate to, players, future picks, anything of that sort, because, kind of like Tyler was saying earlier, it's all about accumulating the most value that you possibly can at this point in the offseason. Don't make now obviously if you're trading up for like the 101 or the 102, yeah, you can get hell bent on taking those picks. You probably know who it's going to be. Your league stature. You can tell who that's going to be, right? But the fact of the matter is, this is a perfect time to move and shake all these picks, assets, players, everything around, and just add some value to your team, because you do not need to set a lineup for another 7 months, right? So just enjoy the off season, make those trades while you can. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoyed this video. Add that like as well, and hit us up in the comments. Let us know if a trade was made that you think is just absolutely asinine, or if you have any questions for us as well about the upcoming rookie class, rookie values, you name it, we'll be happy to answer in the comments. But before we sign off, Tyler, any closing remarks, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. I mean, we got more trades done tonight in the last hour than we've gotten done in how many years of playing Dynasty together? I don't even know. How many years are we on playing together?
This is we're going into year 6 in the main one.
That's when we started playing together. You got me into it, so that's a long time that we haven't made a ton of deals since the early days when I started to catch on to your tactics. So it was fun to actually get to try and make some deals with you. Hopefully we'll be able to capitalize and make this happen.
Yeah, no, this one was fun. I have a feeling we'll definitely be doing something similar to this once we get a little bit closer to actual draft time. But until then, for myself, for Tyler, for Goal Line Dynasty, we will see you next time.